What's going on, everybody? Happy Wednesday. Big boy slate today. We got 10 games. We got a whole bunch of news. Nadesify, Locks, myself breaking it down. Nades is in for Tambo today. Nades, I'll throw it to you first. We appreciate you hopping on. You're always grinding. Hockey streets going on, NBA streets. Always grinding, though. Appreciate it. Like I said, you hopping on. Lots to talk about. 10 games, a bunch of injury news. I don't know the last time we've seen this much injury news. How's your day going? What's your initial thoughts on the slate?
Yeah, no, happy to be here. Looks like a nice, tasty slate here. We haven't had this big of a slate in a little bit here. It's been a lot of 6-gamers and stuff. I always like these bigger slates. You can take stands and kind of avoid some of this chalk that a lot of people are going to play and make different lineups, right, that still have similar upside or better upside, right, to get to the top. So I like these slates a lot. There's a lot of news. I saw the whole Spurs team got ruled out. So it's chalk Spurs again, which is always fun, especially on a 10-game slate. Love dealing with Pop. I don't think he's ever screwed me once in DFS. So should be fun for sure. On with my two guys here. Missed Locks at the party, but other than that, it was all fun down there. Had a good time meeting Titletown and hanging out with the crew, but ready to jump in here and break down the slate for the people.
Yeah, absolutely. We got Jordan complimenting your sweatshirt, Nades. That is a very nice sweatshirt indeed. Gator Nation, our guy, also from Wisconsin. The Wisconsin boys can't go wrong. 3 Wisconsin guys right here. Shout out to anybody else from Wisco. Locks, what's going on, man? We missed you at the party, missed you at the live final. You're still alive, though. You're still alive. That's good to see. How's it going?
Oh, mute button rookie to start out the show. We caught it quick, though. No worries. Yeah, definitely was sad not to be there. Hopefully already booking the trip for next year. I'll put in the time off early so no one else can snag my couple of weeks here. But Big T said put it in already. It's the same week every year. So I'll make sure I make the trip. Sad we didn't meet you guys, but hey, we're still kicking. Made a run at the live final, but here we are picking some more winners for you guys. So let's just dive into this big slate. Obviously, injury news is very important. We'll touch on that as we go through if-then scenarios and all that. But yeah, excited to be with you guys. Let's dive in.
Absolutely. I'll say hi to some people in YouTube chat as always before we get in. But yeah, 10 games, bunch of injury news. Show will go probably the whole hour just talking hoops. We got Mike Carr in here. We got Luis, Jordan, George, Addison, Richie Smalls, our boy Tyler, We the Peepa, Dollar Bill, Dr. Lucky, Marquis, William, Mr. Mike's Daddy, what's up? P. Lally, Phil, Memphis, Bobby. Appreciate all of you hanging out with us. All we ask for you is like button, big red subscribe button. You guys know that. I mean, 170 watch right now, 60 likes. We appreciate that. You guys know the drill by now. But yeah, as Locke said, I mean, we're going to dive into it. So much injury news to talk about. So before it's not worth just naming all of these questionable takes before diving in. I'll just say game by game, who's out, who's questionable like I usually do. If-then scenarios, probably get some news throughout the show as well. But the Up to Lock show will be very important today. JSU holding Big T. Nobody better in the business breaking it all down. So first game of the night, the only game at 7 p.m. Eastern, the Denver Nuggets head to Washington, 225.5 total. Denver is favored by 9. No injury news on the Denver side. As far as Washington, though, Kuzma's still out. Bradley Beal is also out. So, Locks, I'll start with you in this one. Denver's healthy. You can always play Jokic. Outside of him, I think Jamal Murray would be fine as well. Not sure outside of Jokic and Jamal if we need to really get to any Denver pieces on this big of a slate. On Washington, though, with no Beal, no Kuzma, Porzingis, Monty Morris at a point guard, I think it's an interesting spot here for Washington. What are your thoughts on this Washington-Denver game to start us off?
Yeah, this game for me is pretty simple. I'll start on the Denver side just because you broke it down exactly how I would. It's Nikola Jokic. I think he's probably the best play on the slate, in my opinion. If not, he's one of the top 2-3. But I love the guy. I think he's a great play tonight at 11.5. I'm seeing like probably 10 to 15% ownership from what I'll see. I'm okay playing that at that. Jamal Murray's my other guy I'm interested in here, $7,700. He continues to be priced down, and this is a guy that he can go off at any moment. And I think against this Washington team, he can even more. And there's no Beal on the other side either. I think he just roasts this team. So those two guys for me on the Denver side. On the other side, a lot of people are going to go with Monty Morris and Delon Wright. I'm not going to get there myself. I don't see these guys really having ceiling games very often. The guys I'm going to play are Kristaps and Denny. I think Denny's a great play at $5,400. had a great game last time out. I think he's just a great play here with Beal and Kuzma out. So it's Denny, Porzingis for me, Jokic, Murray on the other side.
I like it. Yeah, so this Beal news, Nate, just hit about 35 minutes ago. Really wasn't going to get to too much Washington before that. It was been in the same situation as before with just Kuzma. But now with Beal out, is Porzingis a spend? Jokic a spend? It is an island game at 7 Eastern, though. So what's your thoughts? Is it a fade? Break down this one for us.
Yeah, I'm kind of in lockstep here with locks. I think Jokic is one of the best spend-ups on the slate. 11-5. Denver needs to start winning here. Coming into crunch time, they've dropped a couple games here. I think he's certainly viable. We've seen him over 12K quite a bit this year already. 11.5 is a nice little discount. I believe he's $200 cheaper than Giannis, $500 cheaper than Luka there. I think he makes a great play. The question becomes, right, how many spots do you want to get locked into early here with a 10-game slate? A lot of news yet to come. We already got a lot of news, so I'm sure a lot of teams right towards the end of the season here are gonna start sitting guys that aren't in the race and things like that. So value can constantly open up. But in this game, I think Monty Morris makes a fine value option. I'm likely certain that his ownership is going to increase. Ownership projections I'm looking at haven't updated quite yet with that news that we just did get it. But at 4,600, I think he certainly makes some sense. He's been playing good as well. Denny Avdija is going to play probably 33 to 35 minutes. I think makes some sense at 5,400. We've seen what he can do. He chucks, especially with Bradley Beal out. I do think this game stays fairly competitive here because Denver has not been great. And I think this is going to be a Jokic smash game. He's seen what Embiid's doing. Embiid's gunning for that MVP, right? The chatter's starting to come that, Denver is kind of falling off. Jokic is dropping off a little bit. Embiid's going on an absolute tear. So I think this is a game that Jokic comes out in a good matchup here against the Wizards and Daniel Gafford and kind of lays it on him a little bit. So that's definitely my favorite play here. You can certainly go to a guy like Porzingis at 8,900 with no Bradley Beal. Certainly makes some sense. In terms of roster construction with my updated projections, 2 or 3 of these Wizards are getting slammed on teams right now. And I'm not seeing a run back option right now with Denver. So maybe if you want to cut that down to maybe 1 or 2 Wizards, depending if we don't get any other value and play Jokic, I think definitely makes some sense. I don't know if I'm going to play 3 Wizards in the first game of the night on a 10-game slate personally, but that's kind of what the projections are saying right now. Obviously, we're going to get more news. But yeah, Jokic for me, Monty Morris, fine value. Denny Avdija, I think, is probably my favorite piece just because how much he's going to chuck. He has 5,400 there, so he does need he can't go out there and get you 20 DraftKings points. That's not going to be on the winner. So overall, I think Jokic by far my favorite play in this game. Porzingis is fine as a spend up, and then Denny Avdija kind of in that middle ground.
Yeah, Avdija coming off a big game yesterday. His rebounding, his floor is a lot higher than most people in that 5K range. I mean, 10 rebounds, 11 rebounds, always a great rebounder. If he can put 15 in like he did yesterday, 37 DK points, definitely gets a bump without Beal. Yeah, I say probably in tournaments, if you're playing 3 Wizards, I'd probably want to run back with either Jamal or Jokic. Hopefully the game does stay close. Jokic, Jamal, both very solid plays. I don't think you got to get to any value pieces on Denver, though. But cannot ignore this first game. Washington's thin without 2 of their best players. Porzingis, Monty Morris, Denny Avdija, I think, are the 3 best plays on that side. Jokic, Jamal on the other side. That game was, again, on an island at 7 p.m. Eastern. It's definitely a game you cannot ignore, though. Next game on the slate, one that will be pretty low owned, it looks like. The Golden State Warriors taking on the Dallas Mavericks. Big total, 238.5. Golden State is favored by 1.5. Golden State is completely healthy outside. Andrew Wiggins still isn't playing. He's been out for a while, but they're healthy outside of him. As far as Dallas, Tim Hardaway is out. Kyrie is questionable, and Luka is probable in this game. So, yeah, if Kyrie's out, obviously a big bump to Luka. We have plenty of value on this slate. Unlike yesterday where value was tough, we have plenty of value to get to stud. So if Kyrie's out, I think Luka becomes one of the top spends on the slate for sure. Locks, I'll go back to you in this one. Man, ownership's looking pretty low with Golden State healthy. Steph's below 10K, though. Anything on that side? And then talk about if then with Kyrie news for Dallas.
Yeah, definitely some interest here. I think Kyrie doesn't play. I mean, I heard he was in a walking boot after the last game, so it don't bode well. Luka's a good play anytime. I think he might be a little limited here coming back from this injury. And at 12K, I don't want to pay the price. There's too many other studs around him that I'm going to be getting to, so I'm not going to pay the 12K for Luka. I don't mind if you do. Actually, the guy I like most, if Hardaway is out and Irving, is Josh Green at 4,900. I do like a little bit of Josh Green here, so he's my main point of interest. And then I'm okay with Christian Wood off the bench, but 6,700. I don't know if I'll get to that. I'll have to see. He'll probably be in my pool. But really not a lot of interest in this Dallas team. My main interest is on this other side is the Warriors and Curry and Thompson. I think they can just shoot the lights out against this team. Super low ownership. Dallas hasn't been playing much defense. So I think these two guys could just get hot and chuck and just go off against this Dallas team. So, I mean, I'd be okay running like a Curry, Thompson, Josh Green run back. You don't have to have a run back either. But I think Curry's a great play under 10K. Those are probably the only two guys from Golden State other than Kuminga that I would have any interest in.
Nate's going to you. Yeah, Luka has not played in a couple weeks now, about 2 weeks. It was a thigh injury. He's probable, so he's going to play in this game. If Kyrie's out, are you nervous about the minutes? Can you get to Luka as a spend up? Talk about the Warrior side, Steph, Clay, locks, likes. What do you see in this game?
Yeah, I'm kind of in lockstep again here with locks. Josh Green, my favorite Dallas piece. I don't think Kyrie plays. Luka, sure, you can get to him, but most expensive stud on the slate. Not sure what his minutes are going to look like. If he does get his full allotment of minutes, yeah, absolutely, he's a great play, especially against Golden State here. This game might get up and down a little bit with Steph and Clay and the Warriors back there. Overall, I think on the Golden State side, most interest for me is with Klay Thompson. He's playing well right now. 7K, I think, is a good price tag for him for sure. Gets close to double-digit three-point attempts every game. 7K, great upside. Outside of that, I mean, Steph, certainly you can play Steph under 10K anytime. But it does seem like right now Clay is kind of on one right now, so that does limit Steph's ceiling a little bit. And at 9,700, you do need a big boy score for him to hit the optimal on a 10-game slate. It's an absolutely loaded slate, deep slates. You need your guys to get there for you. Snowflake is going to probably end you up outside of a cash line, especially with a player as expensive as Steph. So Klay Thompson for me mainly. Christian Wood, I can't do it. He's up towards 7K, 6,700, coming off the bench likely. Only going to see around 26 or so minutes. I can't do that on this slate. He is a high fantasy point per minute, but just like any other team he's on, it seems like there's locker room issues there, and none of these teams like this guy. So I can't do that on a 10-game slate. Josh Green for me, Klay Thompson are my two main interests. Certainly you can play a guy like Luka or Steph, but I like the other studs like Jokic and that on this slate. So I probably don't get to Steph or Luka in this game.
Yeah, it makes sense. I think an interesting route, maybe more large field stuff, but even single entry, if you're eating chalk down below, pairing Steph and Luka, assuming Kyrie is out, of course, a little risk with Luka, but I mean, if he gets his normal minutes, 12K without Kyrie, you saw before the trade what Luka was doing. We rarely see Steph below 10K in the games I like targeting Steph. Close spreads, big total, competitive game. I mean, 238.5, Golden State favored by 1.5, probably playoff atmosphere here. You have enough value to do it. So it definitely is contrarian. Dame looks like the most popular spend. Trey will be very popular as well. So pairing Luka, Steph, hopefully they go back and forth. You have value to do it on this slate. So don't mind taking that route. That would be, again, Kyrie's questionable. Assuming Kyrie is out, that's how I do it. Wouldn't get to Luka if Kyrie's in. We'll keep it moving though. Wait, I saw someone in chat talking any interest in Draymond Green, seeing about 20%. Yeah, I mean, Draymond at 6K, I think is also totally fine. Right in that, I think kind of like a dead range, right at 6K. Again, I like Draymond in competitive games as well. Fast pace. I think Draymond fits the script as well. So no hate on Draymond at 6K in this spot either. We'll keep it rolling though. The next game on the slate, again, all we ask for you is like button. When you hit that like button, right to the left of it, big red subscribe button. We appreciate it. Next game on the slate, New York Knicks, Miami Heat, 224.5 total. Miami is favored by 2. On the Miami side, Caleb Martin and Kyle Lowry are questionable, and the Knicks are fully healthy in this one. Nades, I'll go right back to you in this. Not a game, again, I see too much ownership. Jimmy Butler, 8-4, Hero, 6-8, Bam, 7-8. On the other side, Julius Randle, Jalen Brunson. Any of those catch your eye or anyone I didn't mention?
Yeah, I don't have a ton of interest in this game. Typically, I don't like targeting heat games too much. They just slow the pace down, especially on a 10-game slate. We got other teams that are shorthanded in pace-up spots, things like that. Certainly, you can play a guy like Julius Randle. I think at 9,300, we know what his upside is. Jalen Brunson at 73, it's not the best matchup for him, but we know what his upside is. And the one thing about the Knicks is these big guys are all going to play 35 to 40 minutes, which is nice. Definitely when you have studs locked into close to 40 minutes a game, they just run these guys out kind of like Toronto does with their big guys. Overall, Bam, I see Bam popping a little bit in my projection stuff over here. I can't do it. 7,800 is a decent price tag there, but the matchup's not great. So overall, not a ton of interest for me. Julius Randle certainly is a fine spend up option, 9,300. He's got triple double upside pretty much anytime he's on the slate. And Jalen Brunson has been solid at 7,300. That's still a pretty fair price tag for him. But overall, I don't have a ton of interest in here. I'm not going to play Josh Hart at close to 6K. Kyle Lowry at 3,900 would be a fairly decent value option, but I just hate playing Kyle Lowry. I'm never a Kyle Lowry guy, but obviously you got to monitor news with that. If Caleb Martin is out, that does give a slight bump, I think, to some of these guys. Caleb Martin's been chucking in there. Obviously you got to monitor the news, and the Up the Lock show, JSU and the guys are the best in the business in breaking down that stuff. So certainly tune into that if you're a member. But overall, I think this is a pretty easy stay away game for myself personally.
Yeah, Lock's going to you. I don't really see much ownership. Brunson, he came back his last 2 games. He's been chucking 20, 18 field goal attempts, 8.6K on FanDuel, 7.3 on DK. Can you get to low on him? Bam, Jimmy, what do you like in this game?
Yeah, I don't have a whole ton of interest either in this game, other than a couple pieces. I'll kind of be off of Randall at 9,300. I'm not chasing him after the 8 for 14 performance from downtown. I mean, we don't see that happen enough. We see it happen once every 10 games. I'm just going to stay off of that. Yeah, I've seen what he can do, but I'm just not paying that price tag tonight for him. I just don't see it. Miami actually plays okay defense. So I'll stay off of him. I'm okay with Jalen Brunson at 7,300. He's probably my only guy I'll play from the Knicks if I'm playing anybody from this team. And then on the other side of the ball, I think if Lowry and Caleb Martin are out, I'll just speak on that. I think Max Strus is interesting at $4,100. I think if both of those guys are out, then I will definitely have a little bit of Max Strus. If both those guys are in, I'm probably just getting off of this whole team. My only interest would be in an $8,400 Jimmy Butler. Definitely some interest there for me. I just think he gets us at least around 45 DK points, upwards of 50 possible there. I think he can have a good game against this Knicks team. But other than that, no interest.
Yeah, I don't see much ownership coming to that game either. If you play someone, I think it's one of the studs, a Brunson. I agree. I like Brunson more than Randall for the 2K savings, a Jimmy or a Bam. But if you have none of that game, I think you're totally fine as well. We're going to keep it rolling, though. A bunch of games on the slate, 10 games. Another game at 7:30 p.m. Eastern right here. The Indiana Pacers taking on the Toronto Raptors, 234.5 total. Toronto is favored by 9. Important news on the Pacers side, Tyrese Halliburton is questionable. He's missed the past 5 games. If he's out, Nembhard continue to get a bunch of minutes. Benedict Mathurin will probably start for him. Chris Duarte is also questionable as well. So 2 guards that are questionable. That's important news on that side. As far as Toronto, important news in this one as well. Scotty Barnes, Gary Trent, and Precious Achiuwa all questionable. Lox, I'll come back to you. Pascal Siakam under 9K. Fred VanVleet under 9K. Jakob Poeltl 6'9". I think talk about if-then scenarios, obviously. Trent, Scotty Barnes. Would you play Siakam or VanVleet if they're in? Would you play them only if they're out? And then talk about what Tyrese and Duarte news does for the Pacers.
Yeah, to me, it's kind of an easy scenario. I think if Scotty's out, I would have interest in VanVleet or Siakam. If he's in, since Poeltl's come to this team, I just haven't wanted to play this Toronto team because there's not really a ceiling game that I've seen from anyone. They're all just kind of hovering around like a 35, 40 points. And I can't get on that. Even with ownership, with low ownership, I don't really care. I'm just going to stay away from this team unless Scotty Barnes is out. Then I'll play a little bit of Van Vliet and Siakam, but I just don't see it here with this team. I like to stay away from teams like this that you don't know which night somebody's going to go off. I do like Poto a little bit at 6,900, but I don't think I can get there. There's just too many other plays. I'd rather pay up or pay down from him, so I'm not going to play him either. So really my only interest in Toronto is if Barnes is out. I'll play Van Vliet and Siakam. On the Pacers side, again, we got injury news. Benedict's interesting to me if Halliburton's out. I do think Halliburton sits again. But really, I don't like this game a whole lot either. I'm okay fading this game personally, other than a couple pieces, depending on news. If Halliburton's out, I like McConnell again. Obviously, I think everybody will, but really nothing else.
Nays, I see a couple people talking Chris Boucher in chat, 3.3K. Can you get to him, or do you need some like a Precious to be out or Scotty to be out? People talking Will Barton, 3.1K. So you'll probably Beantown said I'll be on the Barton train if one of those three are out. Probably one of the only people that would be on Will Barton, but a lot of questionable takes in this one. If then scenarios, what do you like in this?
Yeah, I mean, woof. Will Barton on a 10-game slate's a little tough. Personally, I won't be going there, but certainly you'll be the only guy in the tournament probably that plays him. So that can go one of two ways, either really good or really bad. Chris Boucher, if Precious is out, I do think he gets a little bit more minutes. Obviously, Precious hasn't been getting a ton of minutes with the addition of Poto here. My favorite piece is in terms of Boucher. I think you can certainly keep him in like your MME pool. He's a high fantasy point per minute dude. If he somehow luck boxes into additional minutes, extended run, blowout, all things that can happen, injury, anything that can happen, 3,300, he's over a fantasy point per minute when he does get minutes. It is a fantastic matchup. Pacers last 7 days. Last 15 days are the third best matchup for centers, big men on the entire slate. So I don't mind that. Poto is definitely my favorite interest. I seems like I have a little bit more interest in Jakob Poto than Locks does. He's just been so good for this team. His upside is a little capped because the last 3 games Siakam is starting to do more. So I do think Siakam and Poto for me, especially if Barnes is out, are kind of a 1A, 1B. If you can get up to Siakam at 8,800, if he fits your roster construction, I think he can absolutely smash here. 37 to 40 minutes likely he'll get in an absolute nut matchup against Indiana here. Certainly, I think he makes some sense. But obviously, Indiana's tough, right? Without the Halliburton news, we'll obviously get that later, probably towards the end of the show. If not, the Up to Lock show will have us covered there. But yeah, TJ McConnell, obviously, anytime Halliburton's out and TJ McConnell's grabbing the guard duty here, it's kind of just a lock and load play. 5,900 would be too cheap in this matchup for the minutes that he would likely get. Certainly gives bump to guys like Benny Mathurin, Aaron Nesmith, the typical kind of standard Pacers, but their price tags have been adjusted. Halliburton's been out for a couple of games now. These price tags are up on some of these guys, so they do need a ceiling at these price tags. They're not the 3K to 3,500 smash values that they were, right? That first game, kind of after first couple games that Halliburton was out. So price tags have adjusted. Overall, 10-game slate. This game's early. We're going to be waiting on injury news. I don't know if I get to a ton in this game, but yeah, definitely Siakam and Poto my main interest in this game. And then we kind of wait for Pacers news with Halliburton because that's obviously a huge piece there, huge usage guy on the Pacers.
Yeah, hopefully we get that news before lock, 30 minutes after. Otherwise, it's just that one game at 7 p.m. Eastern. And B-Town said, Barton, if all 3 of those guys are out, that I can make a case for. Yeah, if we somehow get all 3 out, I would be surprised if that was the case. Yeah, I mean, they wouldn't have too many guys off the bench, really. So Will Barton at 3-1 would come into play if all 3 of them are ruled out. But yeah, I mean, man, these Pacers, I lean Tyrese sits too. I don't know really why he would play. But man, it's still, even if Tyrese sits, even if Duarte sits, they still have plenty of bodies. And we've seen like George Hill had a spot start when everyone thought it was going to be McConnell and stuff. We've seen James Johnson get run. We still don't know what Rick Carlisle is going to do with this rotation. So even if Halliburton and Duarte are out, I still think there are better spots on this slate, but can mix in maybe one or two of these guys max. We'll keep it rolling though. Let's see what we got. We got 425 watching, 140 likes. I'll set it real easy today. 250 likes for the plays of the day. Want to get you them. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us. So 250 is what we need for the plays of the day. Keeping it rolling, 8 p.m. Eastern. Houston Rockets taking on the Memphis Grizzlies. 231.5 total. Memphis is favored by 12.5. Jae'Sean Tate is out for Houston. That is it there. As far as Memphis, Ja Morant is probable. He's going to probably play today. He could come off the bench. There are reports, though. Doubt he gets a full amount of minutes, but he is going to be back today. Dylan Brooks is out, serving a suspension. Steven Adams still out. Brandon Clark's obviously out for the year. So big news in this one. Ja is back. I'll start with you in this one, Locks. I'm seeing Conchar, Bane, David Roddy. I think Memphis gets some ownership, especially Conchar and Roddy. 3-1, 3-2. People are going to go here for value. You get the nut matchup against Houston. Expect Roddy to start. Again, Ja, we're not sure. He might start. He might come off the bench. What does Ja being back do for this team? Do you have interest in Memphis? Anyone on Houston?
Yeah, I actually got a lot of interest here in DFS. I think Ja looks really good tonight. I mean, they got him priced down to $9,200. It's just whether or not he's going to start. I think either way, he's an okay play at $9,200. I think he's just going to come out and he's going to want to go guns blazing. It's just how he is. He's been suspended for a little bit. I know in his nature, that's just what he wants to do, is just come out and own everybody. So I do have some interest in Ja tonight. Desmond Bane, I think, gets up even more shots with Dylan Brooks being out and hogging the ball, just chucking up worthless shots. So I think Desmond Bane looks pretty nice tonight as well. And then a lot of people are going to go to Conchar at 3,100. That's the guy I'm going to be off of because I have a lot more interest in David Roddy and Kennard tonight. I just think those two look a lot more interesting to me. Roddy at 3,200, especially if he starts, which I'm kind of seeing he's going to. We've seen what he can do in limited minutes. I'd love to see what he can do with a little bit more minutes. If he can get into like the 25-minute range, would be nice. So some interest in him. And then Kennard, we've seen humming around that like 22, 24-minute mark. So I think he plays a little bit more with Brooks out as well. So those are my 4 main points of focus here. I'm not playing Jaren Jackson tonight, not playing Tillman. And then a lot of people will go with Santi, Aldama. I don't know if I'll get there tonight. We'll have to see, but I'm kind of off that as well. On the Houston side, Jalen Green, KPJ, they're always good. I like Jalen Green more just for $1,000 savings. I think he has kind of higher upside from what I've seen, and I'll gladly save the $1,000 to play him. The bigs I'm not messing with Şengün in. I like Jabari Smith whenever Şengün's out, but when he's in, I'm not playing any of the bigs here.
Did you purposely use that phrase "guns blazing" when referring to Ja, or it just came off the tongue like that? I made me laugh, and people in chat are talking about it. I had
that actually came off the tongue like that, but yeah, there we go. It's just
all right. There we go.
We'll gotta take over Taylor's spot.
We'll leave it at that. I mean, I thought it came off the tongue, which just made it even funnier. But yeah, we'll move on from that. We got Myron Kidd in chat asking about Santi Aldama. What are your thoughts? Talk a little bit about him, Nades. Talk about Ja. Talk about what you like in Houston and Memphis.
Yeah, Locks is too sharp there. Nice little play on words. That was pretty slick there, Locks. Ja's going to return tonight after his little slap on the wrist timeout that he received. So that should be interesting. I have him projected right around 30 minutes. I don't think he gets over 30 minutes being out that much, but I'm sure he could still work out and do stuff like that. It is the nut matchup against Houston. Obviously one of the best matchups on the board, if not the best for guards. He can get there in limited minutes. I don't know if I personally get to him, but he's likely going to play with a chip on his shoulder just for being a donkey. He's going to probably come out and let people know, follow my sweatshirt a little bit and drop it out there. So we should see what that comes about. But Conchar and Aldama, I like David Roddy more and Kennard as well. David Roddy, I think, has 10x upside here, especially if he gets to start. It's a little bit more favorable matchup. He's close to a fantasy point per minute, sitting right around 0.9 or so in terms. So if he does get the starter minutes, 25 to 30 minutes here, 3,200, I think, against Houston, he can absolutely smash. So I like him quite a bit. Aldama at 4,200. I don't know if I chase Aldama at that price tag. I think I might just save $1,000 and go down to Roddy. Obviously, Roddy's likely going to carry some ownership here, but it is a great value play personally, especially if he starts. If he doesn't start, I'd be a little bit more wary, but I think you can still play him. He is $200 above min price. I have him projected right around 20 minutes right now, so likely not. I don't have him projected to start, but if he does start, that's probably going to bump up to 25 to 28 minutes, give or take. And I think it's definitely a great play against Houston. My interest on Houston, I think, resides with Jalen Green. Is pretty much the only piece I'm interested in. Kevin Porter Jr. obviously has a great ceiling, but at 8,100, he does need to hit that ceiling to kind of hit the optimal here. And I just like taking less risk. Obviously, these Houston guys, you don't know who it's going to be. So if I'm going to one of them, I'm going to save $1,000 and go to Jalen Green. I can't get to Sengun or Jabari Smith. Sengun at 6,800 is definitely – that's a nice price tag for him, but it'll be interesting to see if he gets all of his minutes. He definitely has the ceiling if he does get the minutes. Personally, I don't think I'm going to get to him. But, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much my interest. Not a ton, but I do think Roddy and Kennard are two pretty solid value plays here in one of the best matchups for DFS in terms of facing Houston.
Yeah, if Roddy starts, he's definitely going to be one of the most popular plays on the slate for sure. 3.2K, not matched up against Houston. Even if it's a blowout, Roddy can get blowout running this too. So I definitely like that. I think get to Santi. I think get to Conchar. I think all of these guys are fine value. As far as Houston, I agree with you. Jalen Green would be my favorite. Last 7 games, he hasn't played less than 35 minutes. 19, 22, 20, 13, 29, 14, 23, 21, 19. That number is all shot attempts. He's absolutely chucking. Houston makes me nervous, but, I mean, man, they're running him out there 35-plus minutes for this past week. I don't see why that would change. He would definitely be my favorite. I'm nervous about Sengun's. KPJ probably wouldn't get there as well. So Jalen Green's going to be single-digit owned, and if you're running 3 Memphis or something like that, yeah, I think playing Jalen Green makes some sense. Give me all the minutes in the world. Give me a guy that will chuck, and he can heat up and get hot and put up a big one anytime. So definitely like that call with Jalen Green. Memphis, David Roddy, definitely one of the highest owned players on the slate. And that is assuming he starts. If he didn't start, that ownership would change. Like just say a Luke Kennard started or something like that. The ownership would go to whoever does start in that place. We'll keep it rolling. Let's move to the next game on the slate. San Antonio Spurs taking on the Milwaukee Bucks. 238 total. Milwaukee is favored by 17.5. You heard that right, 17.5. I'm not sure I've ever seen a spread this big. Going to the injury report, I'll start with the Bucks. It's much easier. Crowder's missing, Dragic, Leonard. Nothing really matters on the Bucks side. The main guys are there. As far as the Spurs, though, Trey Jones out, Devontae Graham out, Doug McDermott out, Romeo Langford out, Charles Bassey out, Jeremy Sochan questionable, Keldon Johnson is questionable. Man, that's a lot of news. Keldon Johnson was questionable yesterday. He missed the game. Sochan, he didn't play yesterday either. Now Trey Jones is resting. Doug McDermott's resting. Still the Spurs at the end of the day, though, Nadesify. I'll go to you. Big total, or not a big total, big spread. Giannis is 11-8. I mean, he could really play 25 minutes. He could still get there in 25, but who knows what his minutes are going to be. Are you going to get to like a Blake Wesley, a Devin Vassell, Branham? Do you need Keldon to be out? A lot of injury news in this one. So talk about the Spurs and what are you doing on the Bucks side. And talk about the little Mamu revenge. People in the chat are talking about that. Even though he played like a total of 100 minutes for the Bucks. Little Mamu revenge.
I mean, Mamu revenge, maybe if they were playing the Wisconsin Herd or something, but I don't think that's the case. Mamu doesn't really have any revenge to give. I think he was just happy riding the pine on a great team and learning from guys like Giannis, but happy that he's getting minutes in San Antonio. 5,100 for him. Woof, I can't get there for Sandro in this matchup. 17.5 point favorites is nuts to me. So that kind of takes me off Giannis, which is scary. We've seen this before, right? The Bucks playing the literally bench unit for Boston, and the game goes to overtime. So never predict blowouts in NBA DFS, but if there was ever a spot to predict blowout, this has got to be one of the best spots here. Bucks look like the best team in the league to me. It is a little bit biased there, but I truly do think they are the best team in the league. I have them to win the title. they're just playing great. Obviously, Jay Crowder being out hurts a little bit, but it is the Spurs, so we don't really need Jay Crowder against the Spurs. I think Giannis and Middleton and Drew can kind of handle the load themselves. Brook Lopez is actually pretty intriguing to me. It's a great matchup versus the Spurs to him. Nobody's going to play him. We've seen this dude. The dude is absolutely on a tear right now. And if he continues to play this way, the Bucks are going to be a very tough out. Personally, I think 7,400, nobody's going to touch him. I think he's a very, very good low-owned center play that has the upside to smash the slate. Hey, maybe Giannis takes a back seat here and says, look, I'm not going to risk injury. We're playing nobody here. Brook, why don't you go off? And I can just see Brook chucking 35-footers out there like he does and just cleaning up inside against guys like Jeremy Sochan, Sandro, Keita Bates-Diop. Actually, Bates-Diop. Yeah, he's projected to play. In terms of the Spurs, I mean, 5,500 for Malachi Branham is crazy to me. This dude is only reason he's started cracking the lineup is for all the injuries and just the Spurs kind of just mailing it in, right? Tanking, not wanting to win games. I don't have a ton of interest in them. If I went to anyone, it'd be a guy like Blake Wesley, because I do think he does play in a blowout. 3,900. Just the cheap guys pretty much for me for the Spurs. I'm not paying 6,400 for a guy like Zach Collins, 6,500 for Devin Vassell in a game where they're likely going to get their doors blown off of them. And then you're talking blowout and Popovich, kind of a double-edged sword there. So kind of pick your poison. Pretty much just the cheap Spurs for me. And on the Bucks, I don't think I'm getting to Giannis. I like Jokic more at $300 cheaper. I think the game stays more competitive than this game is going to. Chris Middleton, 7,800. He's kind of priced up to where he should be. Drew Holiday. I think all these guys kind of eat from each other. So none of the big three for me. If I play anyone, it's just a sheer ownership upside guy like Brook Lopez. He checks out pretty good on my model over here that I'm looking at. So pretty much that's it for me. Cheap Spurs and Brook Lopez. But overall, I don't have a ton of interest. It's a 10-game slate, almost a 20-point spread here. So definitely blowout factor for sure.
Yeah, I don't really predict blowouts in the NBA, but we also don't see 17.5-point spreads very often. So this one, yeah, I mean, I got to predict blowout in this one. Don't hate the Brook call. I mean, he's going to be 2% owned. He's won for 40 the past 6 games. I mean, he's really, it's amazing how well he's been playing. Part of the reason I like the Bucks as well. But man, on this slate, I think, yeah, I mean, if you want to play Giannis, sure, but with other studs that are supposed to be more competitive games, I think crossing off the Bucks pretty easy on this slate. Definitely would max one of them. As far as the Spurs, if Keldon and Sochan are out, it makes it a little harder to ignore. If both of them are in, I think crossing off this whole game makes a lot of sense too, though. What do you see in this locks?
Yeah, looking at this game, I don't have much interest at all in. I've posted it in the Discord and stuff too. Just never try to predict a blowout, but this is one I'm with you guys. I might have to do it. I can't pay that price tag for Giannis when I got Luka around him. I got Jokic that I love tonight. I just can't get that price tag when I see a spread like this. And just, I mean, they might as well be playing against a G League team, you know? I mean, that's basically what they're playing against with this Spurs team. So I just don't have much interest here. I don't want to predict it. The guy I will say is I'm with Nades. I think Lopez is a great play tonight at $7,400. I would much rather pay $500 more and play him over Podol. That's just where I'm leaning. And ownership is going to be way different. All of it's going to go to Podol compared to Lopez. So I'll take that discounted ownership there. Yeah, I'm paying a little bit more, but I think he's got upside of 40 points for us tonight, if not 45. So interesting there. On the other side of the ball, it's just Jeremy Sochan for me. He runs as many minutes as he can every time he's out there. So he's really my only focus that I have any trust in on this Spurs team. Otherwise, you have no idea what they're doing. So I think it's Sochan or bust for me, Lopez or nobody on the other side, and I'll move on to another game.
I like it. Yeah. Important injury news in this one. Hopefully we get it. It is an hour after lock, but Keldon and Sochan, if they're both out, I think you look at some Spurs. I still don't think they're a must. They still got enough bodies. They'll run everyone out. But if they're out, Vassell bump, Branham bump, Blake Wesley, stuff like that. Bucks max one is the rule I'd set for the Bucks, though. Likes are hurtful indeed. People in chat, hit that like button. Likes are hurtful. 250. I set it very low for you guys. 4 games left on this slate. I know you guys will get it home for us, but like button, big red subscribe button. Takes 2 seconds out of your day. That's all we ask from you. We always do appreciate it. Next game on the slate, another game at 8 p.m. Eastern. Atlanta Hawks, Minnesota Timberwolves. Big boy total, 241. Timberwolves are favored by 5. On the Hawks side, DeJounte Murray is still out. We saw the same thing yesterday. Bogdan Bogdanovic is questionable, though, in this one. So the Hawks side could get even better if he is ruled out. As far as the Timberwolves, Ant is doubtful. Karl Anthony Towns will be back today, though. Jalen Noel questionable. Jordan McLaughlin questionable. Locks, I'll go to you in this one. We saw the Hawks chalky yesterday. They got there even in a blowout. Trey had a good game. Clint Capella smashed. Okongwu, Hunter. Talk about without Murray, Trey's going to be the most popular play on the slate, or one of them for sure. People are going to go to this Hawks side. It can only get better if Bogdanovic is out too. He did play yesterday. He started. What are your thoughts there? And on the Minnesota side, with Cat back, does it take you off Timberwolves? You still like any of them?
Yeah, I still got some interest here, even with Cat being back. I'll start on the T-Wolf side. For me, Mike Conley at 6,400 has looked really good since Ant kind of got hurt here. So, I mean, slight interest in him. Yeah, his price tag's up there a little bit, but he's not owned, and he's a guy that can kind of run the offense, kind of looking a little vintage for us. So maybe some interest there as a low-owned play. Kyle Anderson at 7K, his price tag's up there, but we've seen him with Ant out. They kind of need him, and he gets boards, he gets assists, he kind of does it all. There's a possible triple-double there too with Kyle Anderson. So I'd say Conley and Anderson are my 2 favorites. I don't know about these bigs. I want to see them back. I'm not chasing the Taurean Prince game. I missed it last time. Whatever. If he burns me again, he burns me again. I'm okay with it. But really not any interest other than those 2 guys I mentioned on that side of the ball. On the Hawks side, I love Trae Young. I don't care about his ownership. DeJounte Murray's out. I think he's just going to continue to chuck. We haven't seen a real ceiling game, in my opinion, from Trae Young, where he just is lights out. I could see it happening sometime soon. I could see it happening here against this Minnesota defense. So I love Trae Young tonight. One of my favorite plays. I think Bogey sits. So if he sits, I like Saddiq Bey and AJ Griffin off the bench. Those are probably my 2 favorite plays. And then as far as the bigs go, I just never try to guess these guys. I'll just leave them for somebody else. Okongwu, Capella, Collins. It's just too hard to figure out for me. No real ceiling games that we see that are like, oh man, I'm toast if I didn't play this guy. So I'm okay crossing the bigs out here. It's Trae Young and then AJ Griffin, Saddiq Bey for me because I think Bogey's sitting.
Nades, will go to you. That with Cat back, people are like, he's not going to play his full amount of minutes. I think I don't think you can play Cat in this spot, but they're going to start Gobert and Cat next to each other. At least that's what they've done before. Capella, Okongwu, John Collins. I mean, they're going to have to play big most of the game. Any interest there? If Bogdanovic is out, AJ Griffin, DeAndre Hunter, people are asking about. Break down this one, Timberwolves and the Hawks.
Yeah, I think that Bogdanovic news is actually pretty big. He usually plays upwards of 30 to 33 minutes or so. He started last game, but sometimes he comes off the bench. Personally, I think he might sit here, so it does give a boost to a guy like AJ Griffin, Saddiq Bey. Either one of those guys, I think one of them for sure starts. The other comes off the bench. I think you're going to get lower ownership for sure with the dude coming off the bench. And that second unit really doesn't have much in that second unit now that DeJounte Murray's out, because typically what the Hawks were doing were they were splitting Trae Young and DeJounte Murray quite a bit. So like when one would come off the court, the other one would stay out there with guys like Bogdanovic and some of these second unit guys, which definitely hurts their usage when you got a guy like DeJounte that's chucking, no matter who he's playing with. And same thing with Trae Young. So I do think you can certainly play guys like AJ Griffin, Saddiq Bey, DeAndre Hunter. I think it also makes some sense at 5,300. He's going to chuck as well. But overall, I do think some of these bigs have to play some minutes here. Okongwu probably gets a little bit more minutes with the double big lineup for Minnesota. You can say what you want. Obviously, personally, I don't think the double big unit works in 2023 NBA, but apparently Minnesota still does think it works. So obviously Atlanta's going to have to match them with guys like Okongwu, Capella, John Collins. You could see some foul trouble there against Gobert, against Karl Anthony Towns. If that happens, Okongwu at 4,700, he's a high fantasy point per minute, almost sitting at 1.2 roughly. If he gets 25 plus minutes here, I have him projected right around 20 to 22 minutes. If he somehow slips into a couple more minutes, I definitely think he has a ceiling on this slate at literally a fraction of the ownership that guys like Capella and stuff are going to have. So 4,700, I think you can certainly play him. Only issue is he is center only. I love Jokic tonight, so that's probably one of my centers for sure. So that's where guys like, I think John Collins definitely make a little bit more sense with that power forward eligibility there. John Collins, 5,200. I think he's fine. I'm not a John Collins guy personally. So I don't love it. I think the best play on Atlanta for sure is Trae Young by far. Ownership doesn't really matter to me. 9,400. That's too cheap for him, especially against Minnesota with DeJounte out. His upside is 65, 70 points, and we haven't seen it yet. So it could be coming. I think he's a great play. But yeah, overall, that's kind of where I'm at in this game. Not a ton of interest on the Minnesota side. Sure, you can play a guy like Kyle Anderson, which if you would have asked me last year if I would have been playing slow-mo as much as I am in 2023, I would have told you you're nuts. And playing 7K for a guy like Kyle Anderson. I mean, this dude is literally dust. But apparently he found something here in Minnesota. So you can certainly play him. I do think he has 50-point upside, but with Towns back, I think I might just take a wait-and-see approach here with Minnesota and see what kind of happens and what fiddles out. I can't play Mike Conley. I know he's been good, but, man, 6,400 for Mike Conley just feels like a double condom play to me. The dude has been good, but he just has limited upside. It's old man Conley at the end of the day. I haven't played him yet, so I don't think I'm going to jump on the train now and be the one to get burned by him. So overall, not a ton from me.
Yeah, Cat's not going to come back and play 35 plus, but even he comes back and plays 20, that makes 7K Kyle Anderson way too expensive, 6'4 Conley for me. So I don't really think you got to go. If I played anyone on Minnesota, it actually would probably be Rudy Gobert. Again, they're going to start double big. I think the price is fine. He'll be low owned. He has shown upside. Clint Capella, Kongwu, Atlanta's going to play big all game, so there's no risk of going small. So if I had to pick anyone, it'd probably be him, but I think fading this Timberwolves side definitely makes some sense. And the Hawks side, yeah, Trae will be one of the most popular players. Bogdanovich news is important in this one. AJ Griffin, I think, would probably start. They have started Aaron Holiday in the past two. Even if Aaron Holiday starts, I don't think you need to click that button. AJ Griffin would become a better play, though. We'll keep it rolling. We got 3 games left on this slate. Monster 10-game slate. 8 p.m. Eastern again. Philadelphia 76ers taking on the Chicago Bulls. 221.5 total. Philly is favored by 3.5. On the injury report, we got on the Philly side, James Harden's questionable. PJ Tucker's questionable. Jalen McDaniels is questionable. As far as Chicago, Alex Caruso is questionable. Locks, I'll go to you. Man, I mean, I really like Embiid in this spot. 11-7. Nobody on this Bulls team can stop him. If Harden does miss, I expect him to play. He played 46 minutes last game, but if we don't get the news before lock and the news breaks your way, Embiid would be the most popular spend on the slate probably, and maybe people already have spends locked in. So MVP race we're talking about this Bulls team. I really do like Embiid, and I'm not seeing too much ownership at that center position. On the other side, Vooch, Caruso, Levine. What do you see, Bulls and Philly?
Yeah, I have some interest here in Embiid with you. I'm seeing like sub 5% ownership, and this guy he continues to crush, and people don't play him because they play everybody around him. If you're looking to get different off of Jokic, yeah, I'll gladly smash Embiid all day in this matchup. I think they just played each other, if I'm not mistaken, and I think he went off pretty well, and so did Vucevic. So I'm actually interested in both these centers in this game, and I don't see either one of them really getting steamed up. So I'm okay playing both centers. I like DeRozan and Levine. I think Caruso personally is going to sit again. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know if you guys got to lean either way. But if Caruso sits, I actually don't mind a little bit of Pat Bev. We've seen him kind of play all these minutes, and they're going to want him in there. I hate playing that guy, but, man, I might have to. I'm not sure. We'll see if I can talk myself into it. I might go Kobe White instead at 3,600. But, again, it's all based on the news. So if Caruso plays, it's really just Vucevic and DeRozan for me. On the Sixers side, I do think Harden plays as well. I think it's Embiid, Harden in that order for me. I'm not interested in anybody else here. I don't care about the PJ Tucker news. That doesn't change anything on my end of things. I still view the Sixers the same way. So it's Embiid, Harden for me. If Harden's out, Maxi's just a smash play. So other than that, yeah, not a huge interest in this game.
Yeah, these two teams played 2 nights ago, went to double OT. That's why a lot of the 46 minutes, 45, you see those numbers, a lot of big scores. But man, I definitely love Embiid. If Harden's out, for sure, Maxey, Tobias Harris, I think you can get to. Don't see too much ownership really in this one, though. I don't have a lean on Caruso personally. Nate, if you have one, you can talk about it. But Philly, Chicago, what do you got?
Yeah, I don't have a lean on Caruso. If he's in, I think you fade all 3 of those dudes and just don't play the Bulls value guard roulette. But I think if Caruso is out, I definitely think you can certainly play a guy like Pat Bev. Kobe White, I've just never been a Kobe White dude. So he is cheaper than Pat Bev, but I think I would just rather play Pat Bev. You can see him getting up in matchups like this. He definitely plays with a chip on his shoulder. I have him projected right around 30 minutes. So 4,200, you can definitely do worse. But obviously, if Harden's out, Tyrese Maxey's one of the best plays in the slate at 6,900. I do think Harden does play, so that limits my interest in Maxey. But I do think you can still get there. He definitely has the upside. He's going to play 34 to 36 minutes. Definitely think that makes some sense. Embiid did go for 65.5 DraftKings points 2 nights ago when these 2 teams played. I think DeRozan literally nuked the entire slate by about 30 points in the double overtime game. Obviously, you get double overtime, you're kind of swimming in money if you play a bunch of pieces. Personally, myself, I got dusted by it, but that's just the game we play. I certainly think you can go back to Vucevic or Embiid here. Embiid is literally, I think he's the favorite right now. Between him and Giannis, I think Embiid does have the favorite for the MVP race right now with the Nuggets slipping a little bit. So I certainly like Embiid. He's got pretty solid history. He's got a 91 piece in his history against the Bulls. So obviously his upside is incredible. He's making a case to win this MVP. Personally, I think the league's looking for any reason not to give Jokic 3 in a row. And with this slip that they just had, I think that's definitely what they're going to lean on. So I think it's a 2-headed race right now between Giannis and Embiid. I definitely think Embiid has the upper edge. So I think he's going to try and keep that going, right, and win the MVP for a good reason. He deserves it. Dude has incredible upside, so I definitely have interest in him. Outside of that, I mean, I don't have a ton of interest. I'm not going to chase the DeRozan game. I've never been a DeRozan guy. He's approaching 9K. He certainly has upside, but it's not a very good matchup for him. So I think it's just Embiid really for me in this game. And if Caruso is out, you can play either Kobe White or Pat Bev, kind of do the flip the coin gift there and pick your poison, and hopefully you pick right. But overall, not a ton outside the stud here for me.
Yeah, people in chat are talking about D'Anthony Melton. I mean, the dude chucked 12 threes last game, 6 the game before. I believe he did close in that game, so he did have more inflated minutes. But if Harden's out, I think you can get to him. If he's in, I don't think I would chase that Mountain game. But yeah, if Harden's out, I think you can play him. But yeah, 240 pieces, back-to-back games. Can't argue with that. 2 games left on the slate. We need 40 more likes for the plays of the day. Next game on the slate, 9 p.m. Eastern, Portland Trailblazers, Utah Jazz, 235 total. Utah is favored by 5. On the injury report for Portland, Anthony Simons out, Jeremy Grant out, Nasir Little out, Justice Winslow also out. As far as Utah, Colin Sexton is out, Jordan Clarkson is out, Lauri Markkanen is probable. Yeah, I mean, looking at value, Portland is definitely going to be a spot people come to for value. Thibault 3.9, Watford 5.3, Cam Reddish 4.5. I think all good plays. Nurkic 6.2, Dame 10.5. I mean, their important pieces are out for this Portland team. So definitely looks like a spot to load up on Portland. As far as Utah, really don't think people are going to run it back at all. And Lauri at 9.1, man, he is chucking. He is definitely chucking, and he's going to be a low owned. If you're playing multiple Portland guys, I think playing Lauri makes a lot of sense. I see you shaking your head, Locks. Break down this game for us.
Yeah, I love that call tonight. Obviously, Lauri sat out last game. Agbaji, is that how you say his name? I don't see him following that game up. It was cool to see and everything, but now they got him priced up to 5K. Laurie's back in here. Super low ownership. I mean, sub 5%. Yeah, I love that call. I think he's in a great spot tonight. He's probably my favorite play on the Jazz side, no doubt. I'm not paying $7,200 for THT. I'm sorry. He had one blow-up game, and other than that, he hasn't really shown me a whole ton here. That price tag is just ridiculous. So I don't have any other interest here other than in Walker Kessler at 7,200 at the center position. Again, just another guy I'd take at lower ownership than Podol. I'll pay a few hundred extra dollars to get the Walker Kessler here. I think he's in a good spot. So if I'm ranking them, Jazz side, it's Markkanen, Kessler for me. On the other side of the ball, Dame Dollar. Every time Simon sits, I think Dame wants to go for 100 real points. I'm not saying he's going to do it tonight, but he said it was possible now that he scored 70-something. So I think he's just going to chuck tonight with Simons out. I don't think he's going to play many more games this year. Personally, they might shut him down just because they're out of it in lieu of him getting hurt. So I love Dame tonight. I think he smashes. I'm going to be off of the Reddish ownership. I'd rather play Shadon Sharp at $3,600. I think he's going to play mid 20 minutes at $3,600. I think he's one of the best value plays on the slate from everything I'm looking at. So I love Shadon Sharp tonight with Damian Lillard. And then Matisse Thybulle at $3,900 is another guy I'll be playing. I just think he's going to get us some minutes here. There's too many guys out. Grant and Simons out is going to open up some minutes for him. And he can get it done with some steals, play a little bit of offense, not much, but he can get us there fantasy point-wise. He's a good fantasy player when he gets the minutes, and I'm not paying $5,300 for Trenton Watford. I'll let other people go there. So if I'm ranking the Trailblazers, it's a Lillard, Shadon Sharp, Matisse Thybulle for me.
Yeah, Thybulle can sit in that corner and hit some corner threes for you. Man, in this game, Sharp's another value play. A lot of value. If you're going to Portland, or if you're going looking for value, looks like right now Portland and Memphis could be the Spurs as some of the news breaks the right way, but Nades, someone asked about Chris Dunn, revenge. Talk about him. How many Portland's too many? Who are your favorites? You run it back with anyone on Utah?
Yeah, I mean, Locks, I think, is looking at my screen over here. He's too sharp. Shadon Sharp is definitely my favorite play in this game in terms of value. I think he's one of the best values on the board. I'm not playing. I'm seeing Matisse Thybulle projected to be like the 4th or 5th highest owned dude on the slate. I just can't do it. I mean, I can't play Matisse Thybulle at 20+% ownership. I mean, the dude literally needs to get you there on stocks. I think when Locks is talking about Thybulle, I saw Titletown's desk raise a little bit. Might be his favorite player in the whole league, Matisse Thybulle. But I definitely think
no Thybulle slander on this show.
Hey, let me ask you this, Nate. Would you play Thybulle at 20% or Cam Reddish at 35%?
I'll play neither of them. I'll play Shadon Sharp at a fraction and play Shadon Sharp and Damian Lillard is our guy JTHayes likes to say. But yeah, I mean, I was going to get to that. Cam Reddish at 4,500 looks to be like the 2nd or 3rd highest owned dude on the whole slate behind Dame Lillard. If you're playing them, be careful. Definitely don't go in there and play Cam Reddish, Thybulle, and Dame. I mean, you're looking at upwards of 60, 70, 80% ownership just in those three alone. And then you start playing a 2v2 pivot against everyone on a 10-game slate. That's not something I'm interested in signing up for. But Dame has the 3rd best matchup in terms of the last 7 days, DraftKings scoring point guards against Utah. Absolutely elite matchup for him. I think 10-5 is too cheap for him without Simons. He's going to chuck the ball every time he touches it. I mean, the dude was pulling up from the logo and splashing threes. So I definitely think he's one of the best spend ups on the slate. I haven't built too many lineups in terms of you could probably get like Dame and a Jokic team with all the value we have between Memphis and Shadon Sharp and some of these other value pieces. So I think that's definitely a very interesting route to go. So that's my interest there. I'm probably not playing Watford, Thybulle, or Reddish, all three of them. I think I'm just X out. I'm certainly not paying $5,300 for Trent Watford. I'm not going to chase that game. The dude got there with the injury over the weekend. I saw it when we were down in Kentucky. Cost K Fallick a decent chunk of money. Same with JSU. The Trent Watford explosion game kind of luck boxed into that spot start there for Jeremy Grant and just went nuclear. I'm not going to chase it personally myself. Laurie Markkinen, I think, definitely makes some sense for sure. Nobody's going to play him. I can't pay $5K for Agbaji. I just can't do it. I played him last night, and that was nice. But I can't pay K. I think he was 100, something like that, mid threes. When I played, pretty much Shaedon Sharpe for me, Dame Lillard, and then Laurie Markkinen on the other side. I'm going to fade all these chalk pieces from Portland and just take my chances.
I like it. So people talking Chris Dunn playable. I don't think it's a slate for Chris Dunn on this 10 game. 5.8K is a lot. Laurie there. I say no to that. THT at 7,200. If your whole lineup's chalky, you have a really good read on him. I mean, we know THT, he can fill it up, he can get hot, but that's really expensive for him. I think Laurie's the play on Utah, and otherwise I don't really love anyone else. And then Nurkic, Mr. Patrick Rice asked about, I think Nurk's in play. It's tough. Center is definitely loaded. He's probably going to play high 20s, mid 20s minutes. I don't see him playing over 30, but going to need his size against Utah. He can be aggressive. I think Nurkic is fine. We did get news that Kyrie is out and Luka will play, so it's kind of what we were expecting. I hope we get some like Luka minutes, what their plan is with him, but I think Luka's an interesting probably still contrarian. I don't know. We'll have to see what ownership does, but I think Luka's interesting now with Kyrie out. We got one game left on the slate, though. Last time I'll ask, we need 20 more likes. I don't know how long this last game will take, so I'm going to talk about Lakers and Phoenix. I'll check back at the YouTube, check the likes, either get you the plays of the day or get on out of here, but we appreciate all 230 people that did hit that like button. 10 p.m. Eastern, last game on the slate on an island. Phoenix Suns, Los Angeles Lakers, 229.5 total. Phoenix is favored by 1. KD is out. DeAndre Ayton is out for Phoenix. As far as the Lakers, LeBron is still out. Mo Bamba is out as well. The big news in this one is with Ayton out, expecting Bismack Biyombo to start. 3.7K. They're going to need his size against AD. He's just at the center spot, though. So, Locks, I'll go to you. Talk about Bismack. Then there's studs. I mean, I don't really see too much value in this, but there's CP3, Book, Anthony Davis, D. Russ. I think there are some contrarian speds you can get to as a late night hammer. What do you see in this game?
Well, the first thing I'm seeing is how hurtful these likes are. You got 3 Wisco dudes giving you all the winners for tonight. We can't even – I mean, normally we push for 350. I mean –
I was being nice. Being nice today.
We just hit the 250, but now I guarantee you it stops. So let's see if we can get to 300 by the end of this game. I know y'all are watching. I know y'all like winners, so we're going to give them to you here. I'm going to dive into this last game, and by the time I'm done, hopefully we're at 300. I'm not asking for too much, but if I'm looking here, I'm looking at the Lakers side. Yeah, I love D'Angelo Russell. I love Anthony Davis tonight. I think they're great plays. They're both going to be sub 5%. You talk about a couple late night hammers. I think Davis is just in a smash spot here. I mean, Bismack can't guard him. You're looking at this Jock Landale that's going to come in. He can't guard him. I just think Anthony Davis is in a great spot here to just go off for us. And then D'Angelo Russell's kind of been a letdown since his first couple of 50-point games here. But I think he kind of comes back a little bit for us tonight. I think he's a good play at 7,500, sub 5% ownership. And then our boy Austin Reeves, I mean, his price is getting up there, which is insane. But if he continues to play how he is, I can still play him a little bit. He's going to be sub 5% too. So slight interest there. I don't know if I'll get to him tonight, but he's been looking really good. On the other side of the ball, for me, it's really just Booker and Chris Paul. I don't really like playing anybody else from this team. I haven't really seen a whole ton with Ayton out, but we know Booker's always going to crush. So he's probably my main focus here. Not a lot of love for this team other than Booker and Chris Paul. So I'd say it's the 2 studs on the Suns team. It's Davis, then Russell, and Austin Reeves for me on the Lakers side of things.
I like it. Nate, you're not playing much Portland value, it doesn't seem like. Is Bismack one value you can get to? AD is a contrarian sped. Book, I mean, we talked earlier about like the Luka Steph going back and forth. If you have AD and Book or AD and CP3 or something, again, plenty of value on the slate. I think that's interesting. Wake up, some more cheese in your pocket. What do you see in this late night hammer?
Yeah, I love it. Anthony Davis here. The dude has absolutely smashed Phoenix in his past. I think last game he went for like 85 DraftKings points, had a 77 in there as well. Nobody's going to play him, especially late night hammer. It's always nice to sit there with PMR and climb the leaderboards when everyone else is sitting there hoping they can hold on to whatever spot they're in. You come charging with some studs. My definitely main interest in this game is Anthony Davis, Devin Booker. I do think that ping pong is kind of interesting, especially if you're playing MME. Certainly might set a rule, have those two guys in a couple teams, right? And just take your chances on the early value and some of the early mid-tier 5K plays and just sit with those two studs in the chamber. I do think definitely makes some sense. Austin Reeves, I mean, the dude is a stud. He should have been starting and getting a ton of run on a lot of teams in the league. Finally, he's kind of showcasing why he should. Just a straight shooter. I mean, the dude is a stud. But 6,400 is obviously his peak price point. It is a fairly tough matchup against Phoenix here. So I don't know if I get to that 6,400 for Mr. White Boy, Austin Reeves, but he has shown the upside he can display for sure. Bismack Biyombo, I do think definitely makes some sense as a value option. I can see some foul trouble coming against Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is a different breed, so I don't know if I get to him. At center only is definitely tough as well. If he had power forward or forward eligibility, I think it definitely makes a lot more sense. I love Jokic. I love Anthony Davis. I love Podol, Brook Lopez, some of those mid-tier centers as well. So I don't know if I save at center with Biyombo, but I do like other values like Shaedon Sharpe and Dennis Roddy and stuff like that. So that's kind of why I'm fading some of those highest owned Portland guys and just taking my chances. But I don't think I get to Biyombo, but certainly keep him in your pool, especially if you're MMEing. I definitely think he does have some upside, but I can sniff some foul trouble here coming against Anthony Davis. And I mean, they have literally nobody to throw against Anthony Davis. I mean, he should absolutely feast in this matchup. So I love him here. But overall, outside of that, I mean, not a ton of interest. I don't have a ton of interest in D'Angelo Russell. He's kind of cooled off a little bit here. I think this is Anthony Davis show and move on for me.
Yeah, I like AD. That is all 10 games on this slate. We still are waiting on a bunch of injury news. Up to Lock show will be very important today. It is a piece of our premium content. We got Holden, JSU, Big T bringing you up to Lock. I mean, man, tune in for the winners, but they also give you a lot of laughs. Always a very fun show. Use Locks. Locks got it in there. Locks 15 will get you 15% off. SaberSim is also included in that as well. So how to run Pure Sports, Locks 15. If you do join, make sure you get in the Discord. In the live show chat is where you can ask all of your questions for the live show. Otherwise, in the NBA chat, we have all the sports as well. But you guys got the likes home for us. We appreciate everyone that did hit it. We'll start with Nades, the nasty Nades play of the day. Who do you got for us today, Nades?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go right back to this late game we just talked about. I don't see a lot of ownership going to Anthony Davis. The dude has absolutely smashed these guys in his past. You got guys like Jock Landale and Bismack Biyombo that they're going to throw out at him. I think this is an Anthony Davis game, and sub 10% ownership. Sign me up as the late night hammer. Anthony Davis is going to be my play of the day here.
I like it. I will go to myself with the SO play of the day. I'm going similar with Nades in this one. We have a bunch of value on this slate. I like going to contrarian spend. Hinted at a little bit earlier, but man, Joel Embiid at 11-7, showing single-digit ownership. Maybe it comes up a little more. We know Embiid, the MVP means a lot to this guy, and he's sniffing it. Love this matchup against Chicago. Chicago can't stop big men. I think Embiid is the best spend up on the slate when ownership is accounted. Give me Joel Embiid as the SO play of the day. Locks, we got you. We got the Goldilocks play of the day. Who do you got for us, Locks?
Yeah, I'm going to stick with the theme of the centers here. There is a ton of value. You're not going to be able to play all three plays because they're all three centers, but I'm going to go with our boy Nikola Jokic. He's going to come out triple-double to start us off here on the island game to start the slate for us. I think he's just going to go off. He's going to come in 10-15% owned, but I think he's going for at least a 70 burger tonight. I'm going to call a 75 burger out of this tonight with Nikola Jokic here. Start out the night with an early hammer, maybe end it with a late night hammer with AD. Kind of a solid little run there for you. So definitely some interest. I'm going to go Goldilocks play of the day, Nikola Jokic.
Hey, well, you guys watching, you guys can't play all three, but you can pick which one you like most. There's plenty of value on this slate. You can play two at the end of the day. There's enough value to go around. More value can open up too with all these injury news. So, man, you have value. That's why we gave spend ups. All of them look pretty contrarian. That's going to do it for us, though. Up to Lock Show coming up in 4 minutes. Holden, JSU, Big T. At a Run Pure Sports. Locks 15 gets you 15% off. That is going to do it for us, though. For Nadesify, Locks, I'm Titletown. Good luck, everybody.